The Bible is a living word that reads us as we read it. It's a person, a voice that proves that time is not linear, as one sentence can confirm the past, guide the present, and declare the future. You are here. I am here. He is here. We are here. Right now. In the tomorrow of yesterday and in the yesterday of tomorrow. I thank you for joining today. So we're back. Thank you so much for joining once again. In our last episode, we talked about one of the judges that the Lord used to deliver the Israelites out of oppression, this guy named Gideon. I love the fact that the Lord used Gideon because he was a pretty relatable guy. When the Israelites rejected God and the Lord handed him over to the Midianites for 7 years, the Lord had an interaction with Gideon and he called him and said, "Hey, the Lord is with you." And Gideon was very real and upfront with the Lord about his own disappointments. He asked the question that a lot of people of us ask. If you're for me, why are these bad things happening to me? And another thing that I really like about Gideon is the fact that he was very honest about his assessment of himself. He's like, "Excuse me, you're going to use me? Do you know who my people are? I'm from the most insignificant tribe. And on top of that, I'm the least significant of the least significant." That kind of set the tone. And it started right there when Gideon recognized himself as being the least. Gideon was like, "Okay, cool. If you're going to use me, then prove it." And time again, the Lord proved himself. But one thing that he did was that he reduced an army of 32,000 soldiers down to 10,000. And from there, he reduced 10,000 to 300. He needed to make the message very clear to Gideon and to us as well that God can do more with little than we can do with plenty in our own strength. So as we move forward, Gideon was able to, with the grace of God, lead the Israelites into victory once again. And after he led the Israelites into victory, the Israelites actually told Gideon that they wanted him and his son to be the ruler of the people. And Gideon set them straight. He's like, "Nah, y'all don't need a ruler. You have a ruler. The Lord has been and will continue to be our ruler. I'm good with that. I don't need that position. I don't need that status, that fame. I don't need anything from you." As you can imagine, I'm sure, this pattern continues with the Israelites. They continue to reject God. They stay in their evil ways. And the Lord, time and time again, he hands them over to the enemies until they demonstrate a repentant heart. Then the Lord would send a judge, which was a military leader of sorts, someone that he would give strategy to in order to lead the Israelites out of oppression. So here we find ourselves in another very sticky situation. And please note that I am skipping a few judges to get to the judge that we are going to speak about today. But please, by all means, visit the book of Judges and read the story for yourself. That is my objective and goal, for you to have a burning desire to go read, study, and know the word and to know God for yourself. So here we find the Israelites have completely abandoned the Lord. They're not just dabbling with other gods and trying to worship both, but they've gotten to a point where they've totally turned their backs on God and have pledged their allegiance to false gods all around. They didn't serve them at all. And the Lord turned them over. He turned them over to the Philistines and the Ammonites. For 18 years, they were under oppression until finally they came to themselves and cried out to the Lord. This time, when they cried out to the Lord reminded them of all of the things that he's done for them. He's like, "Hey, I'm the one who rescued you from the Egyptians, the Amorites, Ammonites, Philistines, Sidonians, Amalekites, Maonites, all the people." He runs down his track record for them. And the Lord just really speaks from a raw place of love and hurt, even when he tells them, "I've rescued you. Every time you've cried out, I've been there for you. But this time you've abandoned me to serve these other gods. So I'm not rescuing you anymore. Go cry out to the guys that you left me for, and let's see how good they do at rescuing you in your time of trouble and distress, if they were so good to you, good enough to you that you would leave me, why is it that you're coming back to me now? Can they not rescue you? Like, help me understand. So the Israelites pleaded with the Lord and they turned away from these idol gods. And it says something so heart wrenching to me. It says that the Lord was grieved by their misery, which goes to show the nature of his love. It is not the desire of God to see us hurt. It is not the nature of our God to see us in distress. He wants to be in communion with us. He wants us to be in communion with him. But he also is not going to compete with our free will to choose other things. And that's what happened. The Israelites, in their free will, chose other gods. And God was like, not until you come to a place where you're not willing to worship them anymore will I then step in. So the Lord, as he was grieved by their misery, was moved by compassion. And that is where we introduce this new judge, Jephthah. So let's talk about Jephthah. This guy was a great warrior. He had the muscles, he had the strategy, he had the reputation. He was the son of this guy named Gilead, but he also was the son of a woman of the streets. Gilead's wife had several other sons, and the several other sons, being Jephthah's half brothers, had real beef with Jephthah. They would talk about him, they would talk about his mother, and like, nah, you ain't no good, and you definitely are not about to get a piece of the inheritance. So they pushed him away. He fled from his brothers and their cruelty. While he was in this place called Tob, soon enough, he found himself in bad company. So he had his own crew. By this time, the Ammonites, which were oppressing the Israelite people, began their war against Israel. And they attacked and they were really giving the Israelites a hard time. The elders of Israel realized that they were pretty doomed and that they needed an army commander, a great warrior like Jephthah. So they went, they found him, and they were like, hey, got a favor to ask of you. How about you come back and be our commander? Help us fight these guys. Like, the Ammonites are whooping up on us. We need your help. You have all of the characteristics of a great warrior, and we know that you have what it takes to lead us into victory against these guys. Jephthah was real honest with him, and he's like, funny that you see my value when you find yourself in trouble. You come running, looking for me when you can't make things happen for yourself. Why is it that you coming to me now in your time of trouble? Not one of you came after me to check on me, to comfort me, to make sure I'm good, to let me know that just because I'm the product of my pop's poor decisions doesn't mean that I'm a mistake. And Jephthah read them. He read these elders. It's really interesting because the same way that the elders were treating Jephthah is how the Israelites treated God. They dismissed him until they found themselves caught between a rock and a hard place. And then they go running, asking him for his help, asking him for his strength, asking him for his expertise, for the victory that he could lead them into. Anyhow, the elders were very humbled, and they're like, listen, we understand we didn't have your back before, but we need you. If you come and you help us to defeat the Ammonites, we will make sure that you are the ruler of the people of Gilead. Jephthah was like, okay, hold up. Let's run that back. You're telling me if I come and I lead you into victory over these people, you're going to make me the ruler of the people. And the elders were like, bet, yes, we promise. That's exactly what we're telling you we're going to do. Jephthah went with the elders and they made him the ruler and the commander of the army. One of the very first things that Jephthah did after they made him the commander of the army was that he sent a messenger to the king of the Ammonites. And he asked him, why are we fighting? Why are you coming for us? And I think that's so brilliant because it just shows the strategy that he had. Some people were just like, all right, cool, you coming for us, we coming for you back. But the fact that Jephthah actually wanted to know the root of the conflict, is something that is a great model for us. We have to come to a point where we're not so quick to react or respond to things, but really get to the root of why things are as they are. So when he sent these messengers to the king of the Ammonites, the king actually responded to Jephthah with messengers, and they're like, yo, we coming for you because you stole our land. And Jephthah made it very clear. He kind of gave them a quick history lesson like, no, we didn't steal your land. And he let them know exactly what happened and how it was that the Lord ultimately gave the Israelites the land that the Ammonites were trying to take from them. So the Ammonites didn't like that answer too much and they were ready to fight. So Jephthah was like, cool, if you want to fight, we're going to fight. And so the Spirit of the Lord fell upon Jephthah. He led this army to go and fight against the Ammonites. But Jephthah did something very interesting and unnecessary. He made this promise to God and he essentially told him, okay, Lord, we about to go, we gonna fight. And like, I really need this win. So if you make us victorious over the Ammonites, I promise I'll give you whatever comes running out of my house to celebrate me when I make it back, and I'll sacrifice it as a burnt offering. Now, it was already the will of God to give them victory. It is why his presence fell upon Jephthah in the first place. When Jephthah made this vow to the Lord, it wasn't because the Lord asked him to make this vow. It was because Jephthah had this mindset, a very contractual mindset. If I give you this, then you give me that. And that's what happened. He said, if you will give us the victory, then I will give you ... But keep in mind, it was the will of the Lord to give him victory anyways. So Jephthah leads the army. The Lord gave them victory. It was an easy win. And when he returned home, guess who came running up out his house to celebrate him? The first thing that came running out of his house was his daughter, his one and only daughter. Ran out to meet him, playing her tambourine. She was dancing. She was just so excited and joyful and thrilled to celebrate the victory of her father. When he saw his only daughter running out of his house, I imagine that he was shooketh. His stomach started to hurt. I imagine his palms started sweating. He got a piercing headache. He was grieved in his spirit instantly because he realized what it is that he vowed the Lord, and he knew that he had to hold up his end of the bargain. So when she ran and she's excited and like, oh my gosh, Dad, like, I'm so proud of you and praise be to God. Like, we did it and we're victorious and we no longer have to deal with the oppression of these Ammonites. And when she went running and wanted to just wrap her arms around his neck, she realized this very somber look in his face. Like all of the blood just left his face instantly. And she's looking at him like, something's not right. He said to her, oh, sweetheart, I wish you did not run out of that house right now. She's like, Dad, what's going on? He said, I made a vow to the Lord. I can't take it back. I love this about her. His daughter said, well, Dad, if you made a vow to the Lord, no matter what, you have to keep it. And he said, but baby, you don't understand. Like, before the Lord gave us victory, I promised him that whatever came out of my house to meet me when I returned, I would give to him as a burnt sacrifice. And she said, well, be that as it may, you made a promise to the Lord and you have to keep it. But before you do, please just let me do this one thing. And he's like, anything. She said, I just want to go out for 2 months with my sister circle and mourn because I'm going to die as a virgin. She went off for 2 months She grieved the fact that she was going to die a virgin. And then she returned home to her father. Now, let me tell you, it says a lot about Jephthah's daughter. I don't even know her name, but it says a lot about her that she returned home knowing her fate. I give her all due respect because the same way that Jephthah had to pay a very real price for the decision that his father made to lay with a woman of the streets, Jephthah's daughter had to pay a very significant price because of the decision that her father made to make a vow to the Lord that was unnecessary because it was in the will of the Lord to give it to him anyways. I said all of that to say our Father is very loving. He's very giving. He's also just, and he in no way shies away from asking of us what he desires of us. If the Lord had wanted Jephthah to offer up the first thing that went out to celebrate him, the Lord would have asked Jephthah to offer up the first thing that went out to celebrate him. But Jephthah suffered a great deal, and his daughter paid a great price unnecessarily. Jesus likewise paid a very significant price, the price of his life, because of a decision that his father made, that Jesus would be the ultimate sacrifice, that the blood of the Lamb would be shed so that we would stand a chance to be covered by that blood, so that God could forgive us for our sinful nature and that we could be reconciled to God. I love the Lord. I love him for his willingness to do whatever it took for us to be able to walk in relationship with him. And I encourage you, if you don't already have a relationship with God, to be open to having a relationship with him, because there's nothing in this world better than having a relationship with God through Jesus and with the Holy Spirit. All right, we will stop there for now. In our next episode, we will talk about another judge that the Lord used despite his traits, despite his appetite for women. The Lord was able to use another guy that I'm sure some of us in some way has something in common with. That being that he was an imperfect being. So until we meet again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, share. And I look forward to our next episode if the Lord blesses me to record another one. Until then, bye for now.